Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a Book 2014 release. We're working on Chapter 6. This is the first part. You need to get your L6 start file and open it. If you wish, you can restore your presets as described in the beginning of the book. If you don't want to, you probably don't need to. If you're working on the same computer, everything should be fairly comfortable for you. Remember, do go up and reset essentials so that everything goes back to pretty much factory on the panels, so you can find everything easily, and collapse the library panel. Lesson 6 is going to deal with the fundamentals of color, creating and editing colors using the color panel, the swatches panel, and some more for the colors. Everything you need is in this file. I want you to go to File and do a Save As. You're going to save this as Park Sign. And remember again to attach your initials to the file and hit save. Remember that the program will put the file extension in for you. Okay. Now, remember that we are working with color. Everything is here for you. You don't have to add anything. You're going to use all the material, all the images that are supplied for you. So you don't have to worry about the drawing tool today. You're just going to be working with adding the color to the sign. There's many ways you can experiment with and apply color to your artwork. As you work with color, it's important to keep in mind that the medium that you're going to publish this in is going to affect the colors. The colors you create need to be described in the correct way, for the medium. So you need to use the color mode and the color definitions for your colors. The first thing when you start with an illustration is you need to decide what color mode that artwork is going to be seen in. Is it CMYK or RGB? CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those are the colors that are used in 4-color process printing. Those 4 colors get combined and overlapped in a screen pattern to create a multitude of other colors. If you look at the comics section in the newspaper and you bring out a magnifying glass and you look extremely close, you'll see there's a dot pattern creating all of the colors. If you have an art book, or even the book that we're using, those dots are very fine. They're generally generated at 300 dots per inch, so they're an extremely fine dot. But for print, it's all in CMYK. RGB, or red, green, and blue, are added for images that you're going to use to see or to view on screen. So something that is going to be looked at on the internet is going to be created in RGB. When you create a new document, you select the color mode by going to File, New, and picking the proper profile. So Print, Web, Device, Window and Film, Basic RGB. So you pre-select what this is going to be created for. And once the color mode is selected, it gets the appropriate panels open, and those display the colors in the selected color mode. You can change the color mode of a document after the file is open. You can, if you do, and you realize you're working with something that you shouldn't have been, you go into File, Document Color Mode, and select the appropriate color. This is selected to be created. What we're doing is going to be created in CMYK. We're going to learn a little bit about the traditional methods of coloring, which is also called painting. When you're working in Illustrator, we don't necessarily call it coloring, we call it painting. This includes painting objects with colors and patterns, and using a combination of the tools and panels like the control panel, the color panel, the swatches panel. There's a color guide panel. There's the color picker. The paint options in the tool panel give you more options. You'll begin by exploring some of the more widely commonly used options available for creating and clicking color. Now, we've already changed this to the file we're supposed to be in, I will show you the end file so you know what you're going to be creating. And you can see the colors are very different from what we are starting out with. So that's what you're shooting for, and I'm going to ask that you maybe make some color changes on your own, that you don't necessarily follow exactly what they're telling you to do, because I want to be reassured that you are understanding this and that you know how to make some changes. So now, we want you to, let me go back in here. And if we look at let's find the artboards here. Well, artboard 1 is the shoreline. And there's this lovely large brown shape. You have on this one, you have a stroke or a fill. We don't have a stroke on this one. At the bottom of the tool panel, there's the fill and the stroke boxes. The fill box is brown and the stroke is none. If you click the stroke box and then click the fill box, you'll see that they change positions. If you click on the stroke, you're working with the stroke. If you click on the fill, you're working with the fill. Whichever is selected will be applied. So if we click on the fill box, we can apply a color to that very easily. If I were to go to my swatches and select another color, that's very easy to change. You can change the position here in your swatches palette as well. I'm going to undo and change that back. The color panel displays the fill and the stroke of the selected content. The CMYK sliders that are in the color panel, which right now I'm not seeing, but all I need to do is go show options. They're coming up in CMYK. The reason they're coming up in CMYK is because this document is set up for print, CMYK. Okay. The color spectrum bar at the bottom across here lets you use the color picker, and you can select a fill or a stroke color from anything across the full spectrum. If you click the swatches panel on the right, which I've had open and we've used that many times before, you can name and save different types of colors. You can have gradients, you can have patterns. You can edit them, you can apply them, and then you can edit them, and that will change whatever they're applied to what you've edited them to. Swatches are listed in the swatches panel in the order in which they were created. You can, however, reorganize them into groups that fit your needs. All documents start with a set number of swatches, but any colors in the swatches panel are available to the current document, since each document has its own defined swatches. And I will say this is that if you have a set of swatches that you have set up that you particularly like and you want to use that same color combination in another document, there is also a way to import that setup. Click the color guide panel on the right side of the color space, or of the workspace rather, the color guide panel, color guide panel. That's going to be this one. There it is. The color guide gives color inspiration when you create artwork. What it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, these are the colors that go well with this, and here are the tints and shades available of that color. You can make other tints and shades because you can actually work in between the ones that are available, but they're going to work off whatever your selected color is. You can actually save these as swatches. You can edit these colors using the Edit Colors feature. If you click the color panel, that's this one, using the selection tool, you can click various shapes to see how their paint attributes come up. So you can visually see then what attributes Oh, and we need to, that one's grouped, so we won't see that one individually. But you can see how the colors are, how they change, and read what the percentage is in each block. And that is not the percentage in the whole color. It's not like it's 5% yellow and 3% of something else and you have to make a 100% combination. No, the percentage in the color is from no color applied to a super saturated color. So if you have black, it can be anywhere between 0 and 100%. If you put very close to 100% of color, when you print that item, it's going to be completely saturated with ink and it will take very long to dry. So generally, we don't use a high percentage of all of the colors because it just creates a blob. They mix, and you're dealing with inks, and it can just take a very long time for things to dry. So just know that everything can be edited. You can work with, let me go back into the color guide, and you can do different blends. You have triads you can use. You can have high contrast, pentagram for colors, depending on which way you want to work. You can select complementary guide. There's just multiple ways that you can select to do your coloring. So Illustrator provides a lot of ways to arrive at the color that you want, the color that you need. We're going to apply existing colors to a shape and then work our way through the most common ways to create and apply color. So I'm going to close my end file. No, I'm not applying changes. We're going back to the file the start file that we opened and saved as Park Sign, and we're going to choose one from the Artboard Navigator, which is the that center sign, and we're going to go to View, and you can fit Artboard in Window if you would like. It should come up default looking like this. Make sure that you have reset your essentials so that everything is where you can easily find it, and click to select that large red shape. Now, click the Fill Color in the Control Panel up here, and the Swatches panel appears. Now, you can click the drop down, hold to bring up. You can also bring up alternate colors, but we're just working with this. And we want to find a swatch that's called Sign Big, and we're going to apply that color. So let's look for Sign Big. And remember, these are all going to come up in the order that they were created. These swatches across the top are usually default swatches. So you may find extra ones up here depending on what your defaults are set to, but Sign Big is right here.